I was married to my wife for 6 years. We had 2 children, a son before marriage and my daughter later into the marriage. My wife and I met at a conference. She was very successful in her career, working in marketing for a company and traveling frequently for work. I, on the other hand, work in database administration. The day we met, the company I worked for was holding its annual conference, and she and others from her company were in attendance. We exchanged contact information for work-related purposes, but it eventually turned into something more. She became pregnant with our first child a year and a half into our serious relationship. When we found out, I immediately proposed and she said yes. After our first child was born, we had a small wedding with friends and family present. Things were going well, and my wife didn't waste any time getting back to work. Thankfully, my parents were more than willing to help take care of the kids. My wife eventually went back to traveling for work until we found out she was pregnant again with our second child. She continued to work and travel while pregnant until right before she was due. However, after 5 years of marriage, I discovered that my wife had been having an affair with her coworker. One day, while working from home, I received a call from an unknown number. The number kept calling me, but I ignored it twice before finally answering. It turned out to be my wife's coworker's wife. She explained to me how my wife and her husband were having an affair, and she had exposed them to their management. She even sent me screenshots of emails and texts, as well as credit card records of hotel stays in our city. She also had proof that they had taken advantage of business trips to continue their affair. I was in disbelief and furious. This affair had been going on before my wife even met me. When I found out, I immediately questioned if my children were actually mine, which was a terrifying thought. I was angry at my wife and her coworker, but also scared that my children weren't biologically mine. However, I know they are both mine because they are both spitting images of me. The coworker's wife informed me that she had already filed for divorce and was done with her husband. I thanked her for the information and we ended the call. Not long after speaking with her, my wife came in crying, barely able to breathe and hyperventilating. She was screaming, "My career is over, honey. My career is over." I just stared at her and said, "You're worried about your effing career? What about your family?" She said, "Oh no, honey, I'm so sorry. I can explain everything to you." She tried grabbing and hugging me, but I threw her hands off of me. I said some things to her that I can't even write here. Before I went up to pack my things and head to my parents' house, I told her we were getting a divorce. My parents had our children at their place that day. Sometimes my mom would come to our home to watch the kids, or we'd have them there. We all lived near each other. While I was packing my bag, she begged me not to leave, saying she could explain everything, and even accused her coworker's wife of lying and said she was crazy. I told her I had all the screenshots of emails and text messages between her and her coworker. I specifically brought up one message where she said she wished she was married to him, and he was her true love. I said, "Now he's all yours. His wife doesn't want him, and I sure as heck don't want you. Now you all can live happily ever after." She cried and screamed until I walked out the door. Before getting to my parents' house, I decided to just drive. I eventually pulled into a store parking lot and called my job. Someone on my team apologized. Someone on the team had been trying to contact me, but I wasn't responding. I told them I was having a family emergency and needed a few days off. It was given with no issue. I eventually headed back to my parents' house and my wife was already there. My kids were crying because she was crying. My mom took the kids to another room and my wife was still singing the same old song. "I'm so sorry, we can work through this," she said. Eventually my dad told her it would be best if she left. She demanded to take our kids with her and said she was not leaving without them. I went and hugged the kids and told them everything was going to be okay, that Daddy would see them the next day, and they were going to go home with Mommy. She eventually left and I was in my thoughts the entire night. I didn't get any sleep. Instead, I got up and searched for lawyers. I spent the morning speaking with different firms before heading down to one that same afternoon. There was no issue. According to the lawyer, it should be an easy divorce because of her infidelity, and the evidence that I had. Otherwise, we would have to show an effort with counseling. I had no intention of getting full custody. She ruined her visitation on her own. After she was served divorce papers at her home, she went off on the carrier. It was someone appointed by the sheriff. She almost got into trouble for the assault because she threw the papers at him. She later took it upon herself to pack up our kids and head to another city in our state. Her intentions were to run away from all of this with our kids. I had evidence of this because she was foolish enough to text me saying, "You can't divorce me if I don't cooperate with you. Me and the kids will be elsewhere." Eventually, she came to her senses, returned, and claimed it was just a short vacation to visit a family member. She got a lawyer, and they tried to portray me as an abuser, causing her to confide in someone else. I couldn't believe her. I never laid a hand on her. During the divorce process, she was arrested for DUI twice. I had the children that night, but her drinking became a major issue. My mother told me she was afraid to leave the kids with her anymore because her drinking had become out of control. She and her coworker were also fired. I suppose she turned to alcohol as her life fell apart. My lawyer used the DUI incidents to prove that she was lying about me abusing her. I had a recording of her admitting to lying and saying she would do whatever it takes to get what she wants. On the same day she found out about the recording, she got another DUI. My lawyer used this to show that she was not a fit mother and needed counseling for her alcohol addiction. It took over 10 months for the divorce to be finalized, and I was granted temporary full custody of the children. She was only allowed to see them with supervision, usually at my parents' house. Eventually those visits stopped and she disappeared. No one knew where she was and everyone was worried. She had stopped attending her addiction meetings and her whereabouts were unknown. I did my best to reassure my kids and told them their mother was away working and would be back soon. With full custody of the kids, I also got temporary ownership of our home. We will either have to sell it and split the funds, or one of us will buy the other out. She has not found another job. This woman has completely lost her mind. Even though it had been 3 months since her disappearance, her family accused me of harming her and threatened to go to the police. According to her sister, she knew she was safe but told her not to tell anyone. I don't understand why she felt the need to pull such a foolish stunt. I was afraid something had happened to her. While I am glad she is no longer my wife and lost her job, I do not wish harm upon her. I assume during her 3-month absence, she came up with a plan to win her family back. My kids were excited to see her and missed her greatly. They made her promise to take them on vacation again. She told them she had gone on vacation. I truly don't know where she was or what she was doing during those 3 months of absence. She asked to talk to me outside, away from everyone, and started telling me how sorry she was. I tried to stop her, but she begged me to just listen, so I listened to her. She said it never meant anything between her and her coworker, and that she knew it was wrong because he was married. She thought that after meeting me, the fling between them would have just been a thing of the past. After a minute of her making excuses for her wrongdoings, I said, "Okay, stop. We're divorced and we're done. Good luck with finding another position somewhere, but you and I are done. I don't care how sorry you are, just be there for your kids and put the darn bottle down." I backed away and said, "Stop." I went back inside. She later came back in and asked my parents to stay the night to be with the kids. On my way out, she stopped me right before getting to my car to head home. She said, "I'll never stop fighting for my family. I will win you back." I didn't say anything. I got into my car and I left. So, a couple of days later, I went to pick up my kids after leaving work, and my mom handed me an envelope. I asked, "What is this?" She said, "It's for me." I thought it was something from my mom, so I took the envelope and my children and headed home. After putting my kids to bed, I looked at the envelope and unfolded the papers to see that it was a handwritten letter. Immediately, I saw who it was from, my ex-wife. It said, "My sweet love, my one and only." I said, "Nope," balled it up and tossed it on the table. She really is trying. I was a bit disappointed in my mother for giving me the letter. I'm just hoping she gets the hint and moves on. I don't want her. It's over. Done deal. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, I'll see you again. Take care.